basically we are funding food security programs in HSA. We kept that. This is something that we started last year, or we increased last year, and I think it has been very important, and we want to keep it that way. This is a tax that was created precisely for these things, and we want to keep funding these programs. So we have a very large amount of that sort of tax going to food security programs in HSA, but we also have programs in DCYF, Healthy Schools and School Meals, which has been very successful. Healthy Food Purchasing Supplement, also very interesting work is being done there, and things also related to educating people to eat better and eat well and take care of their general health to be able to eat. So oral health also, um, and small businesses, healthy food retail. All right. These are the new programs, just at a very high level. We have Children's Council of SF. We have City Hope San Francisco. We have Farming Hope, Foodwise Community, and Rafiki Coalition. These are all our providers. But I think they all expand on the idea of like keeping people fed, but not only fed, but well fed. So a lot of it is, kind of like braiding both nutrition and community strengthening. So we have, entrepreneurship for uh, um, food enterprises. We have culturally appropriate meals. We have community meals, and all of these things kind of like complement the efforts that we already do in keeping people fed, just to keep also uh, um, a community emphasis on what we do in terms of food across the city. Um, yeah, these are the 5 grants that we have in this category. So these are the key changes. We increased a little bit neighborhood grocery access. We increased a little bit supplemental meals, and we increased also home delivered meals and grocery pantry. You can see all across all categories, there's increases. Big part of that, as I said, is because we increased COD-B for our providers, which is very important to keep them financially stable and so that they can keep providing the services that they provide. And one thing that I did want to flag is that these 2 programs, immigrant food assistance, very important, of course, and emergency food box program, for some reason were not highlighted last year. I don't really know why they, fell off the list that we had. But these programs continue. They are inside of our list of programs. They are being funded. And so I wanted to clarify and to flag that so that everyone knows. All right, we can go through the programs one by one. But I think at this point I prefer maybe opening up for questions. And then if we have time, maybe I can go over the list. Oh, I
Thank
think
you
you're
so
muted.
much.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was muted there. Thank you so much for that overview. It's super helpful. That and thank you for breaking out the with clarity what is being funded. Let's open it up for questions from Food Security Task Force, and then we open it up to the questions from the public. I can start off with a question. So the could you talk a little bit more about the staffing, the eligibility workers for to I mean, love the idea of making sure people retain their benefits and not lose them. Um,
Sure. So we're doing a number of things with this plan. The first one is absorbing the new workload, because given that there will be, instead of once a year, there will be people will have to renew twice a year. We will have basically double the workload for our eligibility workers. We will have people coming more often. And that means if we don't do anything in the status quo, it means people will have to, like wait a long time or do lines or lose time, very valuable time of their day, trying to get their benefits certified by eligibility workers. And so part of what we're doing here is trying to absorb that workload. The second thing we're trying to do is to help people navigate. So we believe that most people, most of the people that we have here in San Francisco, I don't have the number here right now, but I believe we have across these two programs, Medi-Cal and CalFresh, I think we have more than 200,000 people, 200,000 residents. Most of the people are actually, they are compliant, then they are eligible, but some of them will have to be able to show that in a way that they hadn't before. So eligibility workers are also there to try to help people navigate this and make sure and give them enough time to make sure that they are counting for the hours of work that they do every week in the appropriate way, and they can certify that way that they're eligible for the benefits. And then the third thing that we're doing is we are getting them workforce case managers who are able to either, again, make sure that they are already complying with the requirement, or to connect them with workforce development services where we can get them working the amount of time that they need so that they don't disenroll, don't get disenrolled from the program. And all of these things are very complicated. They are very it's a very bureaucratic process to navigate. So we're trying to make sure we're giving everyone in the city the resources they need so that they have all the resources at hand and they can do that. So yeah, that's basically, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Do you oh, go ahead, Jay.
Hi, Santiago. Thanks so much. I'm Jade from the Food and Agricultural Action Coalition Climate Sovereignty, or FACTS. My question was on that slide that you were just on, the staffing of positions. So is it an additional 116 for that first bullet and then raising to 100? And then I think you mentioned that you're also adding ED eligibility workers. Is that part of that 116, or is that on? That's part of it. Okay.
Yes. So it's 116 in the first year and 138 in the second year. It grows because we also expect the workload to grow as people start, like losing their previous eligibility. And most of these are eligibility workers. I think out of the 116 in first year, I think we have 80 eligibility workers, or 82, and the rest are workforce case managers. And so the relative same proportion for the second year. It's most of them will be eligibility workers. We increase a little bit more workforce in second year, but it's roughly the same proportion.
Got it. Thank you.
Reagan.
Hi, thank you very much for all this information. It's nice to see it all in one place and communicated clearly. I did have a question about the SDDT slide. I think on the first slide you showed they've included $1 million for oral health. But then I didn't see where that got mentioned in the following slide. So if you could clarify what's being funded for oral health, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, let me see if I have here. Let me see if this is up to date. Are you seeing this slide?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So for oral health, there used to be a community task force that fell off the budget, but we still have both the staffing in DPH, and we do have a program of dental hygiene and sealants that happens with DCYF, and those are the two things in oral health that we're still doing. Does that answer your question?
The support staffing staffing cost admin DPH, right. That's the oral health one?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? I have another one, Santiago, and I'm not sure if this is a question for you or HSA. So again, really important to get those eligibility workers. And again, HSA does it both for Medicaid and Medi-Cal and CalFresh. Even with the eligibility workers, is there an estimate about how many people will lose their SNAP benefits, even with all the efforts to keep them on because of these work requirements and because of the
Yes,
complications?
yes, definitely there are some estimates. I don't have that here, but I could pull it for you. But I think what I would say is bear in mind we're working with HSA and they have done an amazing job. They are working with a lot of unknowns.
Right.
It has been a very challenging situation because we just don't know how it's going to play out. We don't know how people are going to respond. We don't know how many people are going to basically change their behavior according to what HR1 is trying to do. We don't know we don't have precise estimates right now of how things are going to fluctuate during the next few months because this doesn't happen all at once. It happens, gradually, and there's kind of like an erosion. But we are definitely including some of that, and that is, part of the deficit that we have, and what we're projecting is related to people losing coverage for sure. For the case of Medi-Cal, we do have, fortunately, the city will keep providing health services as we have, and we do have some rights to reimbursement from the federal government for a piece of that, but up to a certain level. So what I could tell you is the magnitude is in the tens of thousands. I wouldn't, I can pull the latest figures, but they won't tell you much because we just don't know a whole lot right now. We're expecting some people to fall off for sure. That is something that we know as a fact. We just don't know how many.
Right. And then for the overall spending that is not the new staffing, what compared to last year? Do you have that slide again? Can you go back to that?
This one?
Yeah, great. So this is the increase, this overall increase is 0.23 plus 4.
Oh, I can go back where we have the aggregated. This is, or I can show you here. So you have here the total funding for 26 was 56.9, and this year or fiscal year 26-27 is going to be 60.1.
Okay, great.
So yeah, it's quite a significant increase. I think we will have a little bit more of an increase in fiscal year 27-28 because we're adding more COD B. But as you know, 27-28 will fluctuate during the next few months and obviously during next budget season. But I think the important piece here is between 26 and 27, we're increasing by more than 3 million, 3.2 million.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sorry, Jade again.
Yeah.
Just curious. So for that 34 million, do you know if there's any plans? It's for staffing. I'm also I know that the RFI just came out for the community works host sites. So are there plans, like could this funding is that funding also going to be used for that program or maybe for like the host sites to compensate them for?
No, I think I'm not understanding your question. Can you repeat that?
Oh, I guess just the 34 million.
Yeah.
Plans are to use it for staffing. HSA.
Oh, okay. Back to HR1. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because there was this RFI released as well, I think yesterday. So just curious.
By which department, so that I have more.
HSA for the community works sites. CalFresh Community Works, I believe it's called.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So in the first year, there's no money for this specific kind of expansion that the mayor's office paid for has no money in the first year for contracts, but it does in the second year. So in the second year, there's also $8 million in workforce in placements. But HSA is expanding with their own resources. And I think maybe that's the RFI that you're talking about. I'm not aware of everything that's happening, but I would believe it's that. And they
Yeah,
are.
I can
Susie.
clarify.
Oh yeah, Susie, thank you.
Sorry, Susie Smith from HSA, getting feedback. It's me, but the RFI is just a request for information. There's no funding tied to that, but we are repurposing funding within our own budget, where we're looking at wherever we can, like underspending in other contracts, reallocating some of our workforce dollars to be able to fund an expansion of workforce services. That is not part of our budget ask to the mayor's office for next year, because we had said we will look within our own means to figure out ways that we could fund workforce services, and that our need for new positions was what we were asking for next year because of the immediate demand. So we kind of bifurcated the needs around HR1 between workforce services and SNAP.
Thank you, Susie.
Yeah, yours. And try getting back on because I'm echoing.
I think it says you're in the meeting twice.
Do we have other questions? Comments from the Food Security Task Force before I open it up to public comment? Okay, I'm opening up for public comment.
My sister Guillermo, I'm sorry.
Guillermo,
yeah. Couldn't find
Guillermo is part of the Food Security Task Force, so come on in, yeah.
I couldn't find my mute button quick enough. Am I to understand that these positions are filled already, or they're going to be filled?
They are not filled yet. They are. It's gonna take a while for HSA to staff up, but we're gonna do our best to do it as quick as possible, working alongside with them. But yeah, beautiful. They are not filled yet.
Okay, thank you.
Opening up for questions from other folks. Right, I am currently not seeing other hands up. Am I missing? Is there anything in the chat here? I just want to say thank you for all the work in this. Again, a horrific budget year. Then the HR1 changes, and including the increased scrutiny overall on SNAP and error rates that can impact, overall percentages that states have to pay SNAP. So for SNAP, so it's a really huge effort. The Food Security Task Force recommendations were, really clear about protecting, if not expanding, services given the historic cuts and the double whammy that people get with the SNAP cuts as well as the potential Medicaid ineligibilities. So really appreciate the efforts for the mayor's office and team to really think about this. And given that, we would still expect that there's going to be, even with all the efforts, that still people are going to fall through. So also looking forward to that continued strong collaboration between the community-based organizations where people, will come to, and those strong links in communication to try to really help folks as they slip through. So, but appreciate the all the efforts and the extra funding and recognition around food security. Any other comments for the team before we let you go?
One more. Can we get a copy of the slides, or is that available anywhere?
Yeah, they should already be on the website.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
On the task force website. Great. Thank you, Pete, for putting that out. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much, Santiago. Again, appreciate all your work.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we are moving to the next agenda item. So we are on item number 7, update on the new food structure in San Francisco. That is, I'm running that piece. So as we know, the San Francisco Food Security Task Force has been recommending a centralized food coordination in San Francisco with the strong community advisory board. We've mentioned before that the mayor's office has proposed an ordinance and has been meeting with community members and department representatives around a food coordination through Human Services Agency with a council, a food security council that would be appointed by the mayor's office. And they presented Peggy Moriarty. I just get her name like messed up a little more. Moriarty. Somebody help me out here. Peggy's last name.
Moriarty.
Thank you. I don't know why it's like that. And I have an Irish background. I don't know what's wrong with me. So she presented to us on this and is presenting to other community groups, such as the Soda Tax, Shape Up, other groups around this, getting feedback. Our job as the Food Security Task Force is to give her specific feedback. I know last time she presented, we gave people time to think about it, and now we want to give some feedback, some really clear recommendations to her around this this ordinance. In the meantime, so that's going to be our task today. We did receive, or DPH staff have received notice that in from the task force on committees, there was a vote in May around the ordinance to eliminate a certain number of committees. One of those committees recommended was the San Francisco Food Security Task Force, and that did pass. So the number of committees were eliminated. The notice received by DPH has the Food Security Task Force eliminated as of June 28th. Is that right, Pete? 29th of this, so the end of this month. We will, I think that the idea being that the task force would be, so the task force is technically eliminated at that time. One of the things that we talked about with that I talked to Peggy about was, and that has been given as feedback for this potentially new council for food security, was that there'd be continuation of some of the previous work of the Food Security Task Force. We are hoping to keep up the website. I know we may have to archive it at that time, but we're hoping to keep notices available until that new council comes around, but we'll see TBD on that. So that's where we are. A little faster than we thought this could potentially be the last of our Food Security Task Force meetings. We have, of course, this group has been meeting since 2005. A great number of members have been with us for a very long time. And towards the end of the meeting, we'll acknowledge some of the tremendous work that has been done by members of the Food Security Task Force, both city departments and community-based organizations and individuals over the years. So more to come on that. Questions on that so far before I get into the feedback on the proposal by the mayor's office? And P, is it possible, P or Eric, can we prepare to present, just show what the Peggy presented last time from the website? Questions on that so far? Questions on the elimination of the task force? You are a quiet bunch today. All right, so
there's a lot of moving pieces to all of this, Sissy. Catch me up. I think I'm kind of like in the ozone. So are we still gonna try and get some positions on that new council?
yeah.
And what's the strategy on doing that? Or is that another conversation another time or another place?
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Guillermo. So what will happen is we're going to bring up the what Peggy presented for the council and the tasks and the citywide food coordination so that people remember. And we are going to today in this meeting have a feedback for the mayor's office. So, for example, you're brought up adding some positions or the composition of those positions would be something that we're going to record right now, and then we're going to send this feedback to Peggy in the mayor's office. So that is that's what we'll be doing today. Okay. Other questions? Did I answer your question, Guillermo? Hopefully that's
yes, you did.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so let's this is the reminder real quick. Can we pop through this? Again, this was posted on the website. This was a presentation from last month and the presentation that the mayor's office has been making to a number of community-based organizations. Can you go to the next slide? Okay, so some of the main components, the citywide office of within HSA, the advisory body being is a council that is co-chaired by the Office of Citywide Food Coordination. And they meet quarterly to advise the mayor's office and support citywide coordination on the strategy for food security. Additionally, the biennial food report would be replaced with a 5-year assessment from a 2-year assessment, but there'd be an interim report capturing funding and service levels and key strategic updates, and that would be led by the HSA. Okay, next one. This is the proposed timeline. Again, May and June, soliciting feedback. July, introducing the legislation, and then September, were it to pass, and then October, the new council would start. Okay, so the nitty gritty, here, the duties, again, the coordinate, I think this is a little bit, we've talked about before, assessing system gaps, advising policymakers, coordinating public information sharing, advancing equitable, culturally responsive food access, support planning for emergency events. Next. Okay, so this is the what was talked about in terms of the membership: 13 dedicated seats, 5 CBOs, 5 city. The Office of OCFC is Office of Food, Office of Citywide Foods Coordination. DOS OCP is what? Office of, what's OCP?
Office of Community Partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Thank you for that. And then the CalFresh, that's the BFS, which I also can't remember what that stands for. Benefits and Family Support. Thank you. And then the SFUS, Unified School District. And that has been actually, that was TBC, meaning to be confirmed, but that has been confirmed. So it's 3 HSA and a DPH and school district. Then 3 consumers that And all of these are by mayor's appointment. Okay. So some of the feedback, we're going to start off, and then P is going to just have a, do you have a, like a word or something where we can just start tracking these recommendations? I'm going to start us off because this group is we're going to start you off. I have heard a number of things from members of the task force, so I'll start you off a little bit. A couple things we're hoping to see in more representation, that there might be a gap in representation for children or family services. So potentially including a membership for DCYF or DEC. Inclusion of, it says community-based organizations, with that also some clarification of whether that would include faith-based organizations, FBOs, that are involved in food security issues. The fact that there's a lack of, that there wasn't a place for coalitions such as FACTS or for instance, in the past, there have been the Tenderloin Hunger Group. Where would they fit in? Would they fit in as CBOs? Would they be allowed or not allowed? Michelle.
Hey, Sissy. So I was actually able to go, I was invited to a safety net pod meeting where we discussed this new iteration of what the Food Security Task Force could be. And it sounds like even though they have the core 5 members on there, which I recognize most of them are from HSA, it sounds like there will be quarterly meetings where DCYF will be invited to the table, but it won't be in the same outlook that we're used to where everyone's at the same table. It sounds like it's like a revolving puzzle piece where people talk, but they don't necessarily talk together. So it's not like, I wouldn't necessarily say DCYF won't necessarily be involved, but it sounds like they are inviting us to the table, but in a different capacity. But whether we agree with it as a group, I think that's up for the debate, but I wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Hello, all. Well, seeing as how this sounds like the blanket approach to commission I don't know how to diplomatically put it, reallocation, I guess. Has anybody vetted the mayor's office on capacity to actually cogently select and appoint people? I haven't seen any mayor's people at any of these meetings. Perhaps they're reading the minutes, but just sounds like, I don't know, it sounds kind of dodgy-dogy to me. I just wanted to kind of get y'all's thoughts on the matter.
I like the term dodgy-dogy.
Well, I mean, it seems to be, I'm on other boards and I'm on other commissions across the platform. And it's the conversation you're having about the Food Task Force is the same that all the rest are having. Oh, yeah, well, the mayor wants to appoint people and, well, we won't be really talking to each other, but we'll be sending notes to each other. And we'll kind of, we're not going to meet every month. We'll meet every quarter, that kind of thing. So, the efficacy of food crisis is, as you know, changing every day. Sometimes we don't have enough time in a month. Shit changes in a month. But that's my thoughts. I just wonder, am I off base, or Anybody else got these thoughts going on?
I do want to say I have heard some comments around what is the nomination process for these? What is the criteria for nomination? Is there a criteria? Can we include some sort of criteria in the recommendation to help guide those appointments? Also, the structure we should mention is this advisory board would follow some new guidelines around advisory boards, which means generally like 3-year terms with some turnover. So it's a smaller group, but the idea technically is that the turn gives different ability for different partners to come on board. But
Wait, can you say that? Can you say that again? That was real diplomatic, but say it again.
So I would say I'd say we translate what did you say? Dodgy
doji
into maybe some clarified some articulated criteria for nominations. So we would like to see certain amount of experience, or that it can be particularly CBOs that are working in neighborhoods that are have high rates of food insecurity, or there can be some other potential nomination criteria.
Okay, Sissy, let me just ask a question. Do you think this is a good idea?
Are you asking me as
I'll open it to everybody, but I'm asking you because we're talking, but
love it.
Do you think this is a good idea? As they say in Congress, that's a yes or no.
Yeah, it's a yes or no question. As a representative of
very political.
I know. As a representative of an organization, I think that I would be concerned. I have been a part of the Food Security Task Force for a long time, and the spirit of the Food Security Task Force, where we really work closely with government on creating, solutions. There in the past, we did a lot of work with the school district. It was really a real important partnership. I know I was working in an organization at the time that did not work with a lot of children, but we put a lot of time and energy into supporting and helping to drive policy to help food security in general. And I think that sort of collaboration we've seen across this Food Security Task Force for a long time, people really being involved in the problem solving and real partnership with city departments. So if that spirit is continued in this configuration, I think we have to start that the Food Security Task Force has been eliminated. So I think we need to, and we've been talking about it for a long time about starting something new. So I think the goal for me as a service provider and been a member of the task force is to continue to make sure that we are clear about the spirit and the goodness and the actual workings that make good policy recommendations, and so that we're able to handle things together. And I think we can do that in this scenario.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. However, one of my major concerns about this next steps forward is I'd like the committee or council that they're designing to be more reflective of the community, have more community input. We know the data, we see the data, we see where all the deficiencies are. And I think that people should be appointed that reflect those crisis areas where they can communicate directly to the mayor or the government. But they should be a part of this, the community, more of the community seats should be a part of this new process by which we can hear directly from the community, from some of the people on the front line. I don't know what 3 seats are going to do, in a group of 15, I think there should be more of a representation of where the data shows that there is a deficiency. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. I'm sorry, Cece.
No. I think you did. You're more representation from the community, particularly in those neighborhoods.
Yes.
More highly effective. Mm-hmm. More than the 3 community seats.
Yes.
I would say just for Mr. Jeffrey, your question, I do think, you know, Peggy in the conversation with the mayor's office was pretty insistent and was pretty she continued to say send feedback, send feedback, send feedback. So, you know, hopefully that feedback gets incorporated from, you know, what we discussed today. And I think that will also give us a sense of, you know, of how this will proceed, or how this will, you know, kind of look. So we've got an opportunity.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Yeah, I just think to echo the previous speaker, the one behind community input, I think as we exit and sunset, we need to send a real serious letter saying that this looks more like exclusion than inclusion. And we need to have more participation of the community, of people that are actually providing the services. Because you're headed for a cliff, turn, stop, hit the brakes. That's my feeling. So that's why I asked, you know, in all earnesty, do you really think this is a good idea? So.
Christy, can we put the slide back up about the seats too? That might be a good thing for us to like get a concrete recommendation, if that's.
Yeah, totally. You want to get that one back up. There is, by the way, for the task force on committees, the recommendation for advisory boards does have 15. It can go, that's the recommendation, so it could be higher. This is 13, so 15 is still with, even if we could add 2 more seats, for example.
And that question actually did come up. Peggy said that they would be open to adding more seats if we demonstrate, or, you know, with providing justification as to why we would want those 2 seats. I think if that is the feedback that we want to say, you know, is again, like, increase those seats that, you know, maybe are in the category of CBO or consumers. I don't know where I guess would be the best recommendation to increase.
Yeah, and would the recommendation to increase be, yeah, just if anyone has any input on this, would be super helpful. I mean, one idea is coalitions. Again, representatives from a coalition, or from the other is you know, adding seats for example, for the CBOs, but ensure that you get good representation from some of these communities that are have a higher burden of food insecurity and health, diet-related health disease.
Stacey, do we recommend then changing serving diverse populations to that language? Serving populations that are disproportionately impacted by food insecurity?
Yeah, I think That's a great question. I mean, there's oftentimes citywide providers and more neighborhood-based providers, so maybe it's a mix.
Yeah, I think what we speak to is like the criteria, like how do you, what demonstrates that, right? Is it like, you know, and you may not always have that data depending, right? If a food security screening has been done.
Right. I mean, I'm just going to say I'm a fan for adding seats for more representation, because I'm kind of echoing a little bit of what Jeffrey said. You know, it's 3, 5. It's you know, adding another gives a little bit more. I would also like to see on the city side to add, because, and maybe possibly, I mean, HSA has a lot of representation there, and I know that they're the in this the coordinating body, but is that, you know, should we really include representatives from other departments?
Yes, that was one of my first red flags, Sissy.
So the recommendation would be more diversity of departments.
Right.
To balance the numbers of HSA.
Yes.
Great. Do we have any recommendations for specific departments? I'm gonna say
departments that are missing or departments that are there?
That we would like to see on there.
Okay.
I'm going to recommend personally maybe one that deals with families, whether it's CCYF, DEC. I think it's an important voice.
I'm going to suggest behavioral health services.
Mm.
And don't ask me unless you want a long explanation.
Just chiming in to say that to my knowledge, I don't think that DEC is currently funding food things. So they might not be the best fit unless your goal is to get them on board with this kind of stuff.
So Reagan, are you thinking more DCYF?
Yeah.
Okay. And yep.
As I'm new to the conversation, so I don't know that I could really know the context of how much food different departments are funding. I will just say at HSH, we do fund quite a lot of food in our shelters. So like our family, adult, and transitional age youth shelters. But I don't know exactly how that compares to what other departments are doing around, you know, how much funding they're spending, but just throwing that in the conversation.
Great. Yeah, no, I think that's, and actually as part of the recommendations we've had, including our 2006 recommendations, is increasing that has been a gap for a long time, is the support for unhoused, and then folks particularly going from shelter to more stable housing, really
that's correct,
out their funds. So that has been an ongoing gap that is important.
So see, one thing in the duties that I think was mentioned earlier that I don't know that this actually in that first bullet point, do we want to include something, do we want to include the community? Because that doesn't seem, I think, I can't remember who had mentioned this, but really like the roles of the community members is really to disseminate information within the community in which they're serving or representing on behalf of.
In the sorry, it's on the duties.
It's in the duties section, the first bullet point. Facilitate coordination, information sharing, and education across programs, investments, and partners. I guess support community input is there, but and provide feedback, but I don't know. It just seemed like that was mentioned as like how people envision community members and on this, you know, one of the roles of community members on this board, the important roles. And it doesn't feel like it's super clear there, but maybe it's clear to others. I don't know.
I think it's DCYF. I'm going to also echo that. I think it's really important that they're on the board, and Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing. For the community organizations, the CBOs, I think it's really important to call out some really critical ones like the Food Bank and Meals on Wheels and Project Open Hands. Not identifying that some of these very, very critical community organizations show here. It's maybe be good to call out. I also had a question about the last note on this slide where it says co-chaired representatives from above are non-voting members. I'm not sure if I missed an explanation on that about who was voting and who was non-voting, but it does seem a little strange to me that the chair of the group would not be voting unless they're all non-voting. I'm not sure I understand what they're saying there.
Great point. I don't think I didn't ask that question, so I'm not sure. Can I share something real quick, P? Can you stop sharing for a second? I'll share something real fast. This is just the breakdown of spending from previous years. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, this just gives you an idea of the food investment by department. And then again, this is from 24-25. But HSH is under DPH, it's the next one. I think DPH might be under, I think that number might be, it should be bigger, I think, because of WIC, but I could be wrong. Okay, so this is really helpful. We have some honed down recommendations. It sounds like expanding seats, including some other departments, including DCYF, HSH. Looking at increasing community seats, particularly from representing neighborhoods or districts that are disproportionately represented have higher rates of food security. what else did I hear?
I think Jeffrey also said, and I agree with the number of meetings. Community input is really critical. Coordination amongst organizations that are working on hunger and feeding programs. These meetings have been really successful in helping make sure that we're making the most out of these very limited dollars, that everybody's working best together, and filling critical gaps. So I would echo what Jeffrey said. I think what he said earlier about more frequent meetings, quarterly public meetings, are really reducing the amount of public input that the community is going to have opportunity for.
Super. Do you have a specific amount?
I don't know if I'm gonna
I'm sorry.
say a number. These monthly meetings.
More specific, yeah, if you want to, I mean, the more specific, the better for these recommendations.
I think these monthly meetings have been great. It's a good point that grants come out and other things come out that move quicker than a month sometimes for us. I don't know if everybody agrees. I think quarterly is better than nothing, right? But this appears to be my last meeting, so everybody else maybe should weigh in on that.
Can we agree to taking it back monthly?
Yeah, we can recommend it. All right, we're recommending, so we heard the recommendation for monthly meetings.
I mean, these meetings are very well attended as monthly meetings as well. So this task force it's effective in that. So I think that is a pro for that.
Okay. Other feedback?
Can I just ask also very clearly, this is our last meeting, is that correct?
Yes, this is the last meeting of the San Francisco Food Security Task Force. I have what we can do is we are currently using like the Zoom that we use is from my organization, and I'm happy to continue that service should a group want to meet that is not a food security task force group. I would send out a listserv. So if you're interested in being hearing updates on food security issues that might have been with the task force, then I can then I'm happy to coordinate a meeting after this one. Probably not on an ongoing basis, but as an interim, happy to do that. I think this group also talked about having it's so abrupt to have this meeting end after meeting for many years. So at least having a celebration or a get together, or and we're hoping that it could be at a organization and do a sort of late after work, or at least some more informal gathering. So, and that could be a meeting or a gathering, but this would be outside of, because this would be the last official meeting of the task force. So this would be the us meeting on our own. But we definitely need to acknowledge, we're going to do this at the end, but we will definitely need to acknowledge the really good work of Paula Jones for many years, who started this task force, and just the terrific work over the years by so many people. And I know, as you know, many people spend many hours really working together on this. So it feels a little abrupt and unceremonious. So I think we need a little something better. so again, I'm happy to facilitate that. I will be getting out just some info so that I have a lot of people's emails, but that people sign up for that listserv so we can invite folks. Let's get back to the task at hand. So we're running out of time for this. Let's talk about other feedback. One of the key things that we need to address, we've said clearly from the beginning, some of our non-negotiables was an open community meeting with public comment. Peggy did say that they would be recommending transparency and a meeting that is open to the public and that is announced ahead of time, but they were not planning on following the Brown rules. But they would include, because and I don't think I'm getting this exactly right, so I'm not as articulate as she was about this, but that the council would be appointed is a special counsel to the mayor, and would be different from a typical advisory council that covers the Brown rules, and that there's different flexibilities in terms of calling meetings and different types of gathering around that, and also cost concerns around funding a staff person to support the meetings. So I know that we had been super clear about the at minimum quarterly open public meetings with public comment. So I'm assuming that we're going to continue that in our recommendation. Is there any changes to that? Any comments on that?
Yeah, I thought we were recommending the monthly meetings be open.
Oh, monthly. Yes, sorry. So
yeah.
It's monthly open, publicly announced meetings?
The Brown Act helps make sure that people have an opportunity to know what's going on. It provides guidelines for meeting posting, locations, things like this that help ensure everybody can join. I think it would be great to recommend that the group continues to run by those rules.
Yeah, I think we can recommend that, Mei-Ling. I don't know that that's going to be a negotiable point, but I think we can add that as a recommendation, but I'm not sure that that's going to be possible.
I'm not sure everybody agrees with me either. That was just something I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. If it's not negotiable, that's all right. But we need to at least put it on record on paper that as the food task force and everyone eats, given the fact that the current administrative direction, it's planning to just increase food insecurity. And we need to say that. That needs to be said as a parting gift.
Michelle.
I think for me, having consistent meetings would be good, especially if they're debating on whether to follow Brown's Act or not. I think monthly can be too cumbersome given if HSA is chairing it, given the other things that they're doing. But if the healthy net pod, something. It's a new group that the mayor has, is it like internal city departments? If we're meeting every other month, then I think having this new version. Yes, thank you, Cindy. Safety Net Pod. If the Safety Net Pod is meeting every other month, then I think having a public forum every other month would make sense because we want to know what is happening in those internal meetings. If they can't do that, then quarterly, but some sort of consistent schedule, not just like whenever they want, right? I think that will really help facilitate that.
Thank you. Other comments before I open up a public comment? Any other comments from the Food Security Task Force? Recommendations, thoughts before I open it up? Okay, let's open it up for a
I've
public
got
comment.
one that I don't think has been mentioned yet, Sissy.
Mhm.
Just that as it's been proposed and shopped around, it seems that everything is based on mayoral appointments, and I think it would be helpful to have some checks and balances to that, since it is also an advisory committee to the mayor. So, you know, perhaps some of those seats could be nominated and approved by the Board of Supervisors. Perhaps the city departments could decide on their own who they're sending to the council. But I think it would be a shame for it to be a circle of yeses who are appointed by the mayor and advising the mayor.
You got my vote.
Great. So some recommendation for the nominations to be, or at least nominations and approved by Board of Supervisors.
Right
Yes.
now, departmental appointments are made by their department head based on skill. I don't think
Imagine that, qualified people making decisions.
And I don't think they're I don't think they're nominations. I think they're appointments. Though the board does have some review process as well.
Currently, for the Food Security Task Force, they're nominated by the Food Security Task Force and appointed by the approved by the Board of Supervisors. Okay.
Oh, I just thought of something. What happens to the appointments after the mayor leaves?
My understanding is they'll stay their term until that seat turns over, right? Okay. So again, that in terms of the nomination process, reviewing the nomination process for and the potentially seeing if seats can be approved by Board of Supervisors or nominated by Board of Supervisors, and then ensuring some criteria around skills-based appointments for both departments and CBOs. Okay. All right, I'm going to open it up to public comment.
Cece, I can't figure out how to raise my, I wanted to raise my hand.
No worries.
So I don't know everybody here, but my name is Asa King. I'm Deputy Director of Community Health at PH. And first, Cece, you mentioned Paula Jones and her work supporting this group, who I know many of you have known for a very long time and have been really a stalwart in our department around food security and equity work. So very much appreciate and just recognizing her contributions to this group and this work for such a long time. And also to you, Cece, who I know has been citywide leader in this area, and all of you on the task force who've been doing such great work for so long. I just wanted to just acknowledge just very helpful for me listening in on some of these recommendations. I too attended the safety net pod meeting with the mayor's office, and hearing some of the concerns of the community, I think is really important, as our department is still, going to continue to be very committed to be a citywide leader on food security work, and obviously deep collaborators with HSA and with many other city departments, as we will continue to be. But just wanted to acknowledge the good work that has been done. And I know it's a difficult moment for this group to be in its last official capacity, but we definitely know that we are committed to continued partnership and building upon the great work that has been done. So just wanted to say that.
Super, thank you. Other public comment? Jade.
So I was just wondering if like a couple weeks ago we had met after Peggy did her presentation at the Shape Up meeting, and there was some stuff that we had recommended there. Was that going to be included? Like I think we talked about adding an evaluation process of the Food Security Council and the Office of Certified Food. And then potentially adding in requirement for the mayor to respond to the recommendations made by the Food Security Council in writing. Whether it will be implemented or not, justification if not.
Cool. Yeah, the evaluation process would be sorry, that was discussed, came up as an idea that if we really want to continue that spirit of collaboration between city departments and CBOs and the community, and so that there'd be a kind of a formal evaluation process after a year and a half to see if this council is meeting the expectations. So I think we can, if that feels comfortable, folks, we can recommend that. I think that's a good opportunities to if it, see if this is working, if it's, and if not, to make course correction, right?
And then I think she's still presenting this again at the SDG TAC meeting next week, right? So just in case if.
Yeah, and I think she's also going to meet with some other stakeholders. So there's more input than just ours for sure. Gianna.
One thing that I haven't heard anyone say is that Peggy led off at least one of her presentations that I saw saying, we are absolutely not going to do a strategic plan. And because that's one of the things that has been recommended from leaders in the city around food security and health equity. And what I've heard is that no one expected the city to pay for that, that we have funders available. I think it's Hellman and Stupsky, who said they would fund something like that. So I can understand why the mayor's office is overwhelmed and doesn't want to prioritize a strategic plan. But the way she framed it was like, we don't have the resources to do it. And I don't know if anybody has actually countered her with that and said, well, if a separate body takes that on, is that, both the funding and maybe another group could take on leading a strategic plan for the city. If that is something that the mayor's office would be open to hearing. The other thing that's bothered me, I mean, there are many things that bother me, but about this, but is that basically she also said there's no additional staffing or funding for this in HSA. So, you know, I'm sure no one in HSA can speak up around that, but that just seems like a setup for failure for everybody. And it just feels like it's like slap a new name on a group that already exists, but don't give them any additional resources to actually do the job. So that's, as a person who's worked in this field in San Francisco for almost 20 years and a community member and a CBO member, like that's what I hear. I hear just a Office of Food name put on a team at HSA with no additional resources. And as if like this work doesn't take time and doesn't take resources. And that somehow they're going to make it more efficient by having a committee doesn't have to follow Brown Act rules. So I just feel, I don't know what the recommendation is, Sissy, other than not allocating any additional staff for this additional coordination role is problematic, particularly given what HSA has to do in the next year or two, staffing up like we just heard. So it's unfortunate that the city of San Francisco once again is moving backwards, not forwards in terms of innovating what we're doing in this space. Spent a lot of time giving city leadership a model for that, and it's been essentially ignored, which is unfortunate. But I have appreciated these meetings over the years, getting to know what's going on, making connections with people, which definitely came in handy in the pandemic. It's a good example of the value of a body like this, a group like this. Same with the SDD TAC group. I leaned on those connections so heavily, was able to do a lot of really good work during that time because of it. So cheers to you also, Sissy, for leading for how many years now?
I don't know. I got a couple wrinkles that I'm naming specifically.
You've been very patient and consistent, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Okay, other comment?
Can I respond to Jana? Hi, Jana. We hear you about like the long-term food system plan, and FACTS is really prioritizing this. And when Peggy tells us that the mayor's office wants to revisit the idea in 18 months of developing one, we have told her that we believe there are parts to a comprehensive food system assessment and of development of food system plan that we can do now. So we are planning on a plan to make. We're creating a plan to make a plan for the plan. It's kicking off soon. And we want to do this get as much input and as collaborative as possible. So I will share more soon.
Beth. Thank you, Jade.
Thanks, Jade. Yeah, can you all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Just building on quickly what Jade said. I think it was announced a couple months ago, but I'm putting in the chat the San Francisco Climate Action Plan, page 78. We committed to doing a food landscape assessment for our city. And our director, Ty, is taking this very seriously, really wants to be intentional about it. So I guess my recommendation to the room is to connect with Tyrone Jew. He's super open and receptive, and just communicate like what your organization does, what you do in the food system, and your needs. Just because this now is on a city department, it is a commitment, and our department will look really bad if there's nothing come 2028. So we're working with Jade. There's no set plan coming from environment just yet, but we're being really intentional. So please connect with Tyrone Jew.
Super. Thank you, Beth. Okay, I'm not seeing any more hands up or notes in the chat. I know we're running over, but I do think this is an important topic. Next steps. We have taken notes. We will gather that group together that put together the recommendation for around the feedback around the coordination for food security in San Francisco. So that's a couple of members of the Food Security Task Force to just clarify, put these into recommendation form, and then we'll get these to Food Security Task Force, and then for final review, and then we'll get it to Peggy. So thank you all for the participation in that. And again, she is still receiving feedback from other community groups, so you may also have the opportunity with those in those meetings. Okay, so moving along, we're going to move some things around on the agenda. I know Mikos was going to present, and we're just going to really have to cut down the time on that. My apologies.
Yeah, absolutely. No worries. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And appreciate being here for what I know now is your last meeting. And so for bearing with me, and I know how heavy everything was, and wishing you all the best. So I will keep this pretty short. I know you all have access to the slides, so can kind of give a high level overview of everything. But if you haven't heard of it before, MICO stands for Micro Enterprise Home Kitchen Operation. And I can skip kind of over this slide, but I'm the executive director of the Cook Alliance. We're a nonprofit that helps champion this and implements as well as supports these home-based food entrepreneurs. But MICO's came about through AB 626, which was the Homemade Food Operations Act. It was passed into law statewide in 2018. What it did is it created a new type of food facility called the MICO, which allows cooks to obtain a permit to legally sell most types of foods directly to the public from a home kitchen. And so it really builds upon the success of the cottage food law, which passed in 2012 and is already allowing people to sell food from home, but that's specifically shelf-stable items. And what MICO's do is it expands it to all different types of prepared foods and meeting people more at what they're actually selling a lot of the times. And so next slide. At this point, the program passed where each county has to opt in. And at this point, 60% of Californians by population do have access to a MICO program. However, it has not passed in San Francisco yet. It hasn't been brought in front of the board of supervisors. But there is a very large coalition that's working on this. And so I'm just excited to sort of tell you more about what this would mean. Next slide. We really break it down into inclusion, incubation, and innovation. And in terms of inclusion, which is next slide, it creates just a more affordable pathway into the culinary industry, especially for historically marginalized groups. It supports a lot of immigrant communities in creating culturally appropriate food options for them that might not be available in other places. It really empowers caretakers, those with disabilities, those that need to work from home to set their own schedule and earn income. For most people, this is supplemental income. It's not a primary source of income. But really importantly, it allows those that are already cooking illegally to come out from the shadows and to access small business resources, food safety training. And so, as we've seen, and especially with the pandemic shined a bright light on it, there are a lot of people already doing this as a way to supplement their income, especially in such high cost of living places in California. And so this is just meeting them where they're at, but making the community safer by requiring that they get food safety training and abide by certain limitations. So next slide. It's, as I said, it's huge for incubation. It allows people to test out their business models. We've seen, and I'll share some research at the end, but we've seen that MICO businesses are able to actually grow, that this is a pathway for them. And a third of of a group Miko surveyed, a third of them said that they were able to use it to scale into a commercial kitchen space, that they couldn't afford commercial kitchen space at first, but they used the Miko to incubate and then made that transition into getting catering permits. There's one, I'm based out of San Diego. There's a Miko close to where I live that was already able to make the jump into a brick and mortar restaurant. And so it's really already working and pushing forward incubation. Next slide. These are just kind of numbers. It is just so expensive for starting a brick and mortar or even a food truck, which is seen as more accessible. Commercial kitchen rent is really expensive, but the all-in cost to launch a Miko is approximately around $1,000 for most jurisdictions. Next slide. And so we've seen it already really transform local food systems. It improves food access. There's a lot of sustainability in action where people are reducing food waste. They're going to local producers, local farmers, and making those connections. And then it, really builds resiliency in terms of offering flexible entrepreneurial opportunities, that supplemental income that help people survive on industry changes or unforeseen challenges. Next slide. So, in terms of the Miko businesses, at this point, there are over 1,100 across the state that have been able to open. They're very diverse, majority of women, people of color, immigrants, a lot of traditional, regional dishes, dishes that otherwise you don't see in most brick and mortars. We see a lot of individualized offerings. Operators are really able to make custom meals. People who are on maybe medically restrictive diets, or we see a lot who focus on vegan or allergen-friendly options that they can very much customize. As I mentioned, caregiver entrepreneurs, and then affordable living options. Next slide. So Mikos do have caps. It's designed to not only protect food safety, ensuring that Mikos are only producing a safe amount from a home kitchen, but it also, reinforces that these are micro businesses. And so they really are coexisting with brick and mortars. They're not competing with each other. They fill a different niche. And so right now, the limits are $100,000 in gross annual revenue, 30 meals per day, and 90 meals per week. Next slide. And then just in terms of regulations, this is kind of a broad overview of all of the regulations that were designed with health regulators for oversight. And so Mikos have 3 options of serving customers: dine-in, takeout, or delivery. Dine-in is by far the least common, with around 10% doing it in that way, but the most common is doing takeout. All food must be prepared, cooked, and served on the same day and sold directly to the consumer. Miko food can't be sold at an event or at a farmer's market. It also can't be used for catering. So there are clear limitations between what different permits offer different options for people. A Miko must operate from a primary residence, only 1 per household. The operator does have to pass a food safety manager certification exam, which is a higher level than just a food handler's. Mikos are inspected annually and as needed in case of any food safety issues. And so same people that are going out and inspecting cottage food already, or restaurants would be going out and inspecting a Miko. Delivery must be done by the owner or family household member or employee of the Miko. So Mikos can't use third-party delivery apps like DoorDash or Uber Eats, again, placing kind of limitations. And then I already said, it's 30 meals per day, 90 per week, but what is a meal? It's defined as the quantity of food meant for 1 person in 1 sitting. And so, that enables people to still sell things like just desserts or just drinks, and they don't necessarily have to offer full meals, but there's a lot of flexibility in what they can sell. And they can sell all types of hot and cold foods, except for, some really high-risk foods like raw oysters, or THC, CBD, ice cream, raw milk products, anything that requires a HACCP plan. Next slide. Average permit costs around $1,000. There are insurance options, while not required, highly recommended. The fee varies by county, and it's meant to be on a cost recovery basis. So it's only so the health departments, environmental health, as they're implementing, they are charging what it costs them to actually operate the program and issue each permit. And then other costs include a business license, insurance, the food manager certification, some food safety supplies. If they don't already have like a fire extinguisher, that's, one thing that they would have to purchase, but otherwise it's whatever is already in their kitchen. Next slide. So getting a MECO permit involves passing the food manager exam, setting up their standard operating procedures, submitting that along with an application, and then scheduling and passing a home inspection. And so what we found is that really actually does help keep communities safe to have this process in place. Next slide. And so we did do a 5-year research report alongside Cameo Network and a researcher from the University of Washington and a national research firm that helped with surveying called EMC Research. And all of this is also in the process of being submitted alongside a UC Davis researcher to be peer reviewed as well. But the report, and you can find this on our website now, it looked at the first 5 years of the MECO program after its launch. And it looked at permit data, public records data from environmental health, from code enforcement, police. There were operator and consumer survey results, focus groups. And so this was, just hundreds and hundreds of public records requests and going through. And we really were trying to look at permit trends, community impact, food safety impact, and operator insight. And so what we found, next slide, is that, MECOs do have an exceptional safety and community impact record. So 97% have never faced a single formal complaint of any kind, including concerns about noise, traffic, parking, nuisance, or food safety issues. Foodborne illness complaints were incredibly rare. Environmental health agencies identified only 2 foodborne illness complaints across the 898 MECOs that received permits between 2019 and 2024, and they were unsubstantiated. There was no outbreak. They weren't able to trace it back to anything. MECOs are led by very diverse entrepreneurs. 79% were people of color. About 70% were women. And they do create meaningful economic benefits for people. So 73% said the MECO really helped them financially. And they, cited stability, work-life balance, and stronger community ties. And then around a third have used the program as a stepping stone into a larger food business, which is, really exciting, what we want to see. Survey into just general awareness of the program found that awareness is very low, but 9 in 10 Californians said that they would support their county implementing this system for legal permitted MECOs. And so that's kind of high level. In terms of establishing it, this would need to go before the County Board of Supervisors, with grassroots support, but then supervisors would be voting on that. And so we can just kind of skip ahead. If anyone has any questions or wants to learn more about MECOs, please, reach out. I think that last slide might have had contact information, but I can also share some contact information in the chat. But with everything that you all spoke about today, I think MECOs could fit into the San Francisco community and fill a gap that currently exists. And so would love to talk to you all more about that. And I'll share my information in the chat. Thank you.
So, Roya, my understanding is that you've been trying to contact the Department of Public Health here in San Francisco. Is that, or was that Laura? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah. So Lauren, my colleague. Yeah, we've just been trying to have some of these conversations to see where there might be hesitancy to share the data. What we found oftentimes is environmental health can be a little bit skeptical about it, but then with a little bit more just going through it, it ends up working out a lot better than expected. So like Contra Costa recently reported that they had a 2-year pilot that turned permanent, and their environmental health was like, we were skeptical, but this is working really well. We've heard the same things out of LA, out of a lot of other jurisdictions. And so we are hoping for a meeting. We are hoping for support and just the opportunity to answer questions, because there's a lot of misinformation about this and what it would mean for the city of San Francisco, and something we'd be happy to talk about more.
Great. Michelle.
Thanks, Laura, for your presentation. I love that this is a thing. But my question is, have you try to contact someone. Do you need a contact at Selwyn Environmental Health? I have a few contacts over there if you want me to forward that to you, if that's helpful.
Yeah, that would be great. We were working with Supervisor Jackie Fielder's office to sort of set up a call and all of that, and that was kind of delayed. And so there are stuff in the works, but I think the more that they also hear that this is something that, could really be enriching for the city and something that, more organizations are interested in as well, I think it would be really important to being able to not only set up those meetings, but also be heard at those meetings.
Okay. I think I have a contact. I will find your email through the presentations and send that over.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're running out of time, so I'm going to make sure we have time for public comment on this. Thank you so much for presenting. Sorry to make it shorter. All right, I'm not seeing any hands up, not seeing any notes in the chat. Quick update, Eric, and then we're going to open it up for other updates. Eric, on the biannual food security task force report.
Yeah, I'll make it quick. So just an update on the biannual report. We are a week away from our data collection deadline from reporting departments. So reporting departments, about 60 to 70% of reporting departments have turned in their data, which is great. So we'll be following up with the remainder. And then from here on out, we will start cleaning up the data and start analyzing it. And then later in late summer / early fall, we will be hosting community engagement meetings. The Food Security Task Force will no longer exist, but the invite is still open for everyone to attend those public meetings to look at the data and develop some collective recommendations.
Super. Thank you, Eric. And can you remind us of the time frame when you anticipate the actual report happening?
December of this year, if not January or February of next year.
Great. Thank you. Public comment or questions or comments in general. Thank you for all your work on that, Eric. I know it's a lot. Okay. Let's not seeing any hands up or notes in the chat on that topic. So we're going to move to the next topic, which is the updates and emerging issues. The acknowledgements we did, I'll do that again, but let's move up to updates and emerging issues. Michelle.
Hi. So with DCYF, we started Summer Meals program on Monday, June 15th. But I also wanted to share that I'll be transitioning out of DCYF. I got a job closer to home. So my last day is actually next Wednesday. So it's kind of fitting that this is the last, this is the last meeting for me being at, food security. I've been with DCYF for 13 years. Yeah. I think I've been in this seat for 8 years. So it's sort of, I don't want to say it's fitting, but it's sort of,
yeah.
There it goes. Okay. Yeah. So anyway,
thank you for all your work, Michelle.
I know it's bittersweet. I was telling other people, I was like crying earlier. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be so emotional the next few days. But I've really met some great people through this work, and I don't want people to lose that energy, especially since COVID. I feel like COVID brought us together, but I feel like sometimes Zoom and all this stuff can keep us apart. So just as we move forward in this next fiscal year, whatever that is, I want us to go back to that. So anyway, because I was here when Leo was here and all those other people, right? So but anyways, so this is my last meeting with you all. Any informal food security task force, I won't be there. Clara will be my acting person for DCYF, and they've been attending these meetings, and they're on the call now. So you'll probably see them around. So, but if you do end up having a happy hour, invite me and I'll try to make it out.
Okay, great. Sounds great.
Yeah. But I appreciate working with all of you. Thank you.
Super. Okay, Jennifer.
Michelle, oh my gosh. Okay. Well, congratulations. Good luck to you. I'm putting in the chat also our summer meal list where everybody can find everything. As with Michelle's programs, most of ours are starting on the 15th, smattering here or there of other start dates and end dates. So check it out. And as usual, it is a free meal, breakfast and lunch to any community youth 18 years and younger, or our special ed adults. Thank you.
Jade.
+1 to the idea of going on a facts happy hour, especially since this is, oh, not facts, sorry, Food Security Task Force happy hour, since it is our 21st birthday, technically.
Yes.
One thing is Extra Food reached out because they said around July 4th they always get like excess food from like July 4th celebrations. So if anyone's organization thinks they could use more extra food, recovered food around July 4th, let me know and I'll connect you to Extra Food. And then just following up on the plan, on our work to create a plan for a food system plan. We're now working this out with SF Environment and philanthropy partners like Hellman, Stepsky, and the Pink Start. So if you want to get involved in that, I'll drop some ways to stay connected to facts, and Slack works basic right now, already part of that. So, thanks, y'all.
Great. And I wanted to do an update on our meetings with the Board of Supervisors. We are still operating People's Food Security Task Force until June 29th. So we still got some time, even though we're not meeting. We will still be meeting with the Board of Supervisors around the recommendations. So we've, thank you, Pete, for setting that up. Thank you for putting together the recommendations and packaging. It's fabulous work. We met with 3 aides from the Board of Supervisors office today. This afternoon we had Dorsey and Fielder, right? And then this morning was Mahmoud's office. So we did get some feedback from them. They were appreciative of the info. Some of the supervisor aides weren't as familiar with the details of the cuts around the SNAP cuts, so they were appreciative to hear that. Fielder's office is been involved with food security issues for a long time, so they were on it. They were just wanting to make sure that the school meals in DCYF that are ripple effects of SNAP enrollment, right? That the automatic eligibility, that there was help with that. And for Dorsey's office, I think they were just really happy to hear the updates and took a lot of notes. So happy to share that on. We'll be continuing. Thank you, Guillermo, Jade for being, who else is who am I missing? Katie Jackson for being in these meetings. And please, if you haven't signed up for these other Board of Supervisor meetings, it's really helpful to have Food Security Task Force members there. So please make sure you follow up on that email that P sent out around that. Speaking of follow up, so what's going to happen is you will be receiving an email from P or Eric with these what the recommendations around this food coordination and council. So make sure you see that because there's going to be a quick turnaround to get that back out to Peggy. And then also an invitation to, if you'd like to share your contact information, and we'll try to ensure that there's a listserv continuing. And then ideally we will have, hopefully by the end of the month, we'll have some idea of a gathering for the sort of the formal ending of this configuration of this food security task force. So I want a big thanks to Eric and P as a backup for this and being in this weird space of not knowing what your job is tomorrow. So we appreciate you. Thank you so much. And again, please do keep in touch, and we're going to keep on going until the end of the month. So more to come. Appreciate everybody on this call, and we look forward to seeing you at some sort of closure event.
Thanks.
Thank